Brooklyn Independent Television.
Women make up half our population. That's obvious. But did you know that every 4 years they outvote men by a significant percentage? But in the business world, particularly among people who own their own companies, they still lag well behind. That's changing. For example, a study by American Express says that between 1997 and 2010, the number of women-owned startups in New York State rose by 58%. Why all that growth? What are the opportunities and challenges for female entrepreneurs in Brooklyn? Two successful local business owners join me to talk this over. Susan Dobin is CEO of Dobin Architecture and Think Fabricate, and Lisa Bing is president of Bing Consulting Group. Thank you both for being here. So let's start with you, Susan. Can you tell us a little bit about your businesses?
I have an architecture firm, Dobin Architecture, which I actually founded before moving it to Brooklyn. I purposely chose to have it in Brooklyn to provide greater flexibility for me personally. And we focused there over more than 10 years of being in Brooklyn on residential projects, first in the brownstone neighborhoods, then larger projects. You're probably familiar with the Fairway building, which was a residential project for us. We've done a lot of educational projects, both for the New York City School Construction Authority and for private colleges. And we do a lot of economic development related projects for business improvement districts. We've had about 10 to 15 people. It goes up and down with the economy. But about 2 years ago, I started a second business, Think Fabricate, which is they work in collaboration. Think Fabricate is a multidisciplinary design studio. We have a shop in the East Williamsburg Industrial Business Zone. We design products, furnishings, interior designs, and design research. The interesting thing to me is that business was born out of Brooklyn. I started that with a business partner, Jason Gorsline, a furniture designer, trained as an architect. And I think it was because of the ferment of Brooklyn in a way that we were able to meet. So in one case, I moved a business to Brooklyn for my own flexibility, and then a second business emerged, both working in tandem with each other.
Nice.
Lisa?
Well, my story is a little bit different. Bing Consulting Group is my business, and I essentially work with executives to improve workplace performance. And that takes a variety of forms. I'm in Brooklyn because I live in Brooklyn, and my business is based from my home. So most of my work is done on client sites. But I've worked with corporations, Fortune 500s, from Verizon, to HSBC, TD Bank, to small nonprofits, the American Cancer Society, the Brooklyn Public Library, as well as the Preferred Health Partners. So I cover a range of organizations in Brooklyn, in New York City, and beyond. So what makes me Brooklyn is the fact that I was made in Brooklyn, so we can talk more about that, but I've known Susan, as she said, for a long time since starting my business, and we met through the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. And one of the things that I appreciate about being a business owner in Brooklyn is the community of business owners that you'll find here.
So I had the pleasure of hearing you give a talk recently
Yes.
To a group of mostly women entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of the challenges and opportunities for women when it comes to starting and running a small business?
Sure. As I listened in your opening remarks and you talked about the explosion of women businesses over the last 10 or 15 years, and I fall into that category. One of the statistics also is with that growth in the number of businesses, women are not making as much money as men do, which is an interesting point. And so, in terms of some of the opportunities, I think Susan mentioned flexibility. That's certainly something. Well, I was working at Prudential for almost 15 years, so I had the experience of coming from a large corporation into an entrepreneurial situation, which can be challenging for people. So, sort of from large to small, making the leap in terms of recognizing the situation that you're in is very different. The kind of people you're interacting with is very different. You've got to do more. So you don't have the IT crowd, the IT guy or the marketing guy to go do this stuff.
Sure.
And, you have to learn to create relationships with people that don't report directly to you. So your ability to influence and build those relationships are very important.
And do you find that there are more challenges for women in that case, or?
Well, I think that's where women may have an advantage. And I've done a little unscientific polling with some of my male colleagues around this, and one of the things that came up is that women have a tendency to create more peer-to-peer mentoring. And I think Susan and I are an example of that, where our businesses are different yet complementary in some ways. We'll share our challenges as well as give feedback. She's certainly been a good mirror and a sounding board to me. So I think that that's an advantage that women bring.
So Susan, let me pick up on that point. Architecture, it's generally seen as a sort of male-dominated sort of industry. How did you get in? How did you get started in this? What was the path that you took?
Well, it's interesting. I've always been interested in architecture and design and buildings, but I also like a lot of other things that go with being an architect, the organizing, the visioning of what people want to do, the working with the client. So I decided at one point that I wanted to be an architect because of all those many things that come to it. But in the end, when I added the second business, it's to sort of be able to go further into some of the more creative aspects of that. I've worked in areas that are typically male-dominated, like a lot of exterior renovations and things like that. Now this second business gives us a chance to go more in depth in sort of smaller scale projects. But I also think it's been really important to me to have cross-business support and relationships, which Lisa alluded to. There's some overlap because she's working with people just as we are in designing and responding to people. I always welcome her advice and input. And we talk about how we as women business owners, how we're going to navigate. I even remember after September 11th meeting and saying, what will be the next steps for each of our businesses? And I feel like the cross-fertilization of being able to meet with people in other businesses is a really important part, and I feel like the Brooklyn business community is supportive of that.
So let's talk a little bit about minority and women-owned business certification, because we do hear a lot about the push to certify more businesses as minority-owned or women-owned businesses. In your experience, Lisa, how does that process work, and has it been advantageous to business owners?
Well, that hasn't been a route that I've traveled. I am certified with some companies as a result of work that I've done with them. So that has sort of followed, not been my lead. My belief around that was that a couple of things. One, it was an onerous process. Number two, I didn't want to be pigeonholed. I wanted to be, this is my own personal take on this, is that I wanted to be selected for my work, not because I fit a category. I'm not sure now that that's the right thinking, because I think the other thing in terms of women in business is that we have to recognize being a woman, being a black woman, being in Brooklyn, whatever assets you bring, you need to bring them all to bear. So that might have been some short-sighted thinking on my part, and I'm starting to rethink that.
Susan, is your business certified?
We are certified, and I, like Lisa, feel like I could take better advantage of the opportunities that might come with that. We do work for city agencies that have allocation of work for women-owned businesses. However, it's only as a subcontractor, and in those cases we're acting as a prime contractor. So we are not actually receiving the specific benefit of that. But I think the fact that they have that mindset that they want to use women businesses, I think helps us and is to our advantage when they do choose us as a prime. It would be great if it was made easier for people to do it, and if the ability to get the word on the opportunities was streamlined, and it would be wonderful if that would happen.
Yeah. But I just wanted to add to that, though. I think also as women we need to be careful, because sometimes we believe we can do whatever. We can make it happen.
Yes.
And what I've learned also, that many businesses are getting certified, but one of the one of the issues is 90% of those businesses are not, 90% of the work is not going to those businesses. So there's something in the system, as well as perhaps in terms of women and minority businesses. There's something in the system could use some attention.
Fair enough. So in the few minutes we have left,
Okay.
if speaking to all of the potential entrepreneurs out there who are women or women business owners, what is one solid piece of advice that you would want to sort of give to them?
Okay. Well, what I would share is, having done my informal research, is to recognize and accept the ego competition that men bring to the playing field, and to recognize that we don't have to bring that level of bravado. So while men are playing checkers, we can be playing chess.
What do you think about that? You a chess player, Susan?
Lisa, you're going to have to give me lessons on that,
Okay.
the chess. People say that they're great at multitasking and they rush in there and go after whatever challenge, and that's true, and those are great things, and you really need that when you have your own business. But I also think it's really important to be able to rely on help of others, be it someone you know as a friend who can give business advice, or a potential business partner, or people in other related fields. And I feel it's been a real boost for me to be able to work more with colleagues and to grow my business in that way. And I might not have had that mindset at the beginning.
Well, that's an interesting point. Do you think women are more likely to reach out for help and support than men are?
That's one of the issues that women bring in terms of accepting help, and also which plays into delegation. There's an issue around control that I think that I've observed with women more so than men. It's success, not perfection, that counts. I remember when I first started at Prudential, I'd been given a project, and my boss said to me, "Lisa, this doesn't have to be an A paper. A B will do." So I think that's an important, and that's something
a great point.
Yeah,
That's a great point. Success,
not perfection, is what
well,
counts.
thank you both. I've had the pleasure of knowing you both and the honor of working with you over the years, and I'm just impressed and thankful that you came and joined the show.
It's a
Thanks for
pleasure to be
having
here.
us.
Yes.
Watch this and other Brooklyn Independent Television episodes online at breakartsmedia.org/BIT.